Hello guys, welcome back to the Game Maker and C++ server tutorial using 39DLL. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Today I'm going to be creating a logger class for the server. So I'm going to get straight into this and see what we can do. So the first thing we're going to be doing here is creating a new header file. This header file is going to contain our logger class, and what this logger is it's going to be a logger which is pretty much going to replicate the functionality of cout, except we're also going to make it output to a file, because a lot of the time when you have these sort of servers you want to output your log to the file, because the log which is on the screen only stays there for a little bit, but you can have the rest output into a file. What you can also do is you can get some interesting things in here. So you can get each message with a logger to display a certain thing, based on just a couple of variables. So just what I'm just going to do is just make sure we've got all the libraries that we're going to need in here. So import iOS. We're also going to import time.h, which is going to be for outputting a date. I'm not sure whether you actually need this one or not, but we're also going to include ctime. Just to see, we've already got stream imported, and just for the sake of neatness I'm going to slap these up here. We've already got time.h already as well. The other one that we need is ostream, which is the opposite of stream. I think we already have string in here. I'm guaranteed that we've got string in here. Yep, so that should be everything we need. And we're also going to just include the logger header as well. So close that and move into our new logger header. Now this logger is pretty much going to replicate the functionality of your typical cout, so it's going to be the same thing as doing like cout blah, but what's going to be different about this is, one, we can have multiple loggers for different things. For example, you could give each player a logger and have a little message output based on whether a player's done something or not. But what we're just going to use this for is pretty much just so we can have a base time, and have it just each little message we do has a base time. So instead of having to do like cout time blah blah and then your message here, we can just do log and then message, for example. There's nothing fancy about it, it's just pretty cool. So let's get started. So just start by defining our class logger, set a couple of private variables. This is going to be the actual string stream. This is what allows us to essentially put the data into the logger, and here this is just going to be our file, and I don't know if we've actually got the right ostream in here. OS stream, no, that should be right. Oh, stream buff, that's the one I'm missing. This, yeah, stream buffer, and there we go. So now get that proper tabbing in there. So we're going to actually create a template here, which is going to allow us to essentially use the bit pushing operator. And I mean, if you don't really know what this is, then you can just copy and paste this into your project. It's pretty useful in general, just having a very adaptable logger. So now this is pretty much referencing some of our proper things here, and the AND operator. Oops, I've typed something wrong. Ah, yeah, gotcha. The dodger. So here, this is where the actual outputting will work, and this is where what we want to actually do is just std, whoops, cout. This is pretty much just replicating the cout function now, because we want to put our time in a little enclosed bracket, just so we can have something here. Although we don't actually have a time variable yet, so what I'm going to do is just output the string stream that has been buffered, and that will output the most recent data. Oops. What did I type wrong here? Oh, I've just missed the double colon again. So yeah, that's pretty much just using cout functionality, but is instead of just outputting a regular message, it's outputting the string stream of the custom logger. And in here, before we output the actual string stream from the logger, we can output whatever we want before then. So now all we need to do is just reset the string and we're good. So gotta add the return in there so it doesn't break. Right, and now we just need to create this template again, so we can replicate the functionality of cout. Oops, that should be a God, I can't type today. But yeah, we'll also be getting some more basic functionality in this tutorial as well. That's the main thing here. So what I'm also going to do now is I'm also going to actually get this to output to a file. So what we're going to do is we're going to essentially create a new file. As we've already initialized the file up here, this is going to be our logger output file. We can do file.open, let's call it example. For example, and because we want to append this file, then we just have to just say that we can append it, which is by doing so. Now what we can do is a pretty identical method to this. We can just do file start string, and because it's a file, we should do that instead of the typical method. Oops, got a triple bit operator right there, and now we can just file.close. So the last thing I want to do on here is get the current time. So what we're going to do is time t tr. This is just going to be a little bit to get the current time. This is just a mandatory script. Whoops. So this is essentially going to get your current time from the computer and allow us to write it in any format we wish. So again, oops, don't like how many spaces on my things. So now what we can do here is this function here allows you to format time in any way you want. So what we're going to do is write it to this chub here. This is a character array with 80 slots. Don't need any more than that really. So what we're going to do is just format that in the way we want. So we're going to start with just this and minutes. So this is going to be formatted minutes, hours, minutes, seconds. So yeah, that should be pretty nice. So now what we can actually do is, because we've got this char array, we can actually output that into our stream. So what I'm going to do here is just slap the time in there, And just for displaying purposes, I'm going to slap some square brackets around this, just because it looks a little bit nicer. So works essentially the same as cout. You can do whatever you want with this sort of buff setup, and because this is going to be the same again, I'm just going to copy this huge chunk here and slap that in there so that the file log matches our log. So this is done here. Now our logger is completely done. So what we're going to do now is just set up our logger. Just by doing that, and that is that. So instead of doing this, we can just do, you know what, for the sake of purposes, I'm just going to call that log, because otherwise I'm going to have to be typing a lot of stuff. So we can just replace that with that, and then now you'll see what this looks like in a moment. On our threads that we've got here from the previous tutorial, what we can do is just slap this stuff into the log, and I should probably initialize the log up at the top here, because otherwise we're not going to be able to use it in functions. Yeah, that would be a good move. Error log is ambiguous, what? Right, there we go. Just Visual C++ being annoying. Oh, come on. No, you can't make these things okay, so it doesn't want us to use the log there for whatever reason. For reasons I do not know. I don't even know what it means by ambiguous. It's the first time I've actually seen that error before. Okay, so what we can just do is create a temporary logger in there, and that'll do for now because I don't have time to see why it's doing that, so we'll just have to come up with a workaround. So yeah, that's pretty much that. This has been a lot of server stuff so far this episode, so I don't want too much to go on. Oh, what have we gone wrong with now? Oh, now this one's moaning at the log being a dick. Alright, so let's just slap a log in there, and hopefully this thing will resolve itself. Okay, no, we've still got some errors in here somewhere. Oh, what have we got here? We've got a problem in here. Right, left of dot close. Oh, have we got fstream in here properly? Just checking we've got everything in here. Why is that doing that? I've had that error before where this happens, but it never really causes a problem. And now this is just saying that everything is dying. So I'm just going to whack this down here, see if that fixes any problems. Sometimes just putting it after using namespace. Oh, it does work. So yeah, sometimes you have to put classes after that. I don't know why. So now what you can see is each post that comes out, even though we haven't changed anything about the C output, it still comes up with the date here. So I'm going to go into our Gaming 8.1 file now and start doing something fancy. So now that we've got that logger, there's nothing special about that. I think maybe now I'll be able to actually have a proper logger class. So you see here, we've got this cool little timer thing. Player joins, they find out their ID, and that's what we have so far. So now what we're going to get onto is having multiple players connecting to the server. So we can go ahead and close that. I'm going to see if I can just make this a generic logger, because that would save us all a lot of time. And it looks like we can. So I'm just going to take that out there. And yeah, got no errors now, so that's all good. Now we can move on to doing interesting things. So what we can do now is, what we need to do now is make it so when a player joins, they find out about other players who are in the server as well. Now the first thing we need to do is go into GameMaker and actually create a, well, first of all we're going to create a sprite to represent players, and we're just going to make a little 32 by 32 blob for the sake of time, and I'm going to set its right colour to a slightly lighter shade of green. Don't ask me why, we just are. So I'm going to call this SBR player. Now first thing we want to do is just create our own player object, which is going to be this one, and we're going to also create the other player object. This object is going to represent other players in these servers. So that's all we need to do for now. There's nothing too special about that. What I'm actually going to get these guys to do is just have some basic movement code, but we'll get onto that in a minute. That's just basic GameMaker. Now here's where the real fun starts with multiplayer. Now we've got all this annoying setup stuff out of the way, we can start doing some more interesting things. So what I'm going to do here is send, actually no, we don't want to do this here. When someone joins, we want to send the fact that they've joined to everyone else. So in this thing, which checks for our new connections, oh, and the log's being a dick again, so it looks like I'm going to have to do that thing again. Oh well, never mind. I have to live with it. But this log's fine. Oh no, okay, I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, never mind. I guess we can't have our logger in there. So yeah, that's our basic start to things. Now in here, this is where we send the player ID. So what we want to do now is essentially send this player to other players. So first of all, what we're going to do is send this player to other players. So we're going to create a new packet called 0. Right byte. Okay, so what we're going to do right away is this. Where do they receive their username? Okay, so what we actually need to do is we can only send this player to other players once their connection is definitely confirmed. So we're going to put that in here. This is going to essentially, whoops, what have I done here? Okay, just leaving that in there. This is essentially going to basically tell other players that this new guy has joined. So we're going to ID this packet with one that we haven't already used. So if we go into our multiplayer controller, we can see that we've got another 3 packets. So receive new player. Normally, again, as I say, I would put these all into separate scripts, but for the sake of this tutorial, it's all easy to see if it's not hidden away up in the scripts folder on GameMaker. So I'm going to put this on here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing new ID equals read byte. This is going to be a player getting the ID of the person who's just joined, and new name equals read string. So that's pretty much all we need. Then we can just create an instance. I equals instance create x 0, 0, obj other player. Now what this will do is when someone joins, it will create an instance of obj other player, and we're going to set this guy's player ID to new ID and name to new name. So this will essentially just create a player on the other guy's screen. Later on we'll need to do the opposite to this, and that's case 2, so we're going to put a 2 in here. This is our packet ID. Yeah, what we need to do later is make it so when a player leaves as well, they leave on the other person's client. So now we're going to start by writing the player ID. So what we can do is just players I dot ID. That's the first thing we want to write as the players I. You get that from this for statement, as for each player it cycles through that player's socket to see if there's a new packet. So packets received here can only be from this one player. So we're going to write their ID, and I forgot to define the buffer there. Normally you don't have to do that, but C++ is annoying in that respect, but whatever. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to write the string for the player I dot I'm not sure whether a string is... Okay, we're going to need to convert that string to a char. So again, what we're going to need to do is we're just going to copy this, slap it in here, and that'll do. So just replace that with that. It's just the standard thing to convert a string to a char star array. So now we can just write string 2 c2, and we're all happy. Now we can just send off this message to oh, so this is being sent to other players. So what we need to do here, for int a equals 0, a small equals max players. Now this is going to cycle through every other player and send a packet to any player who isn't this player. So what we're going to do, if A is not equal to players I.id, then we can send message players A dot sock comma 0, oops, comma 0. Right, so that's all we need to do for that. Now we can just test out if it works. For doing this, I'm actually just going to get this guy to draw its name above itself. Draw self just draws the sprite exactly as it is. And we're just going to have to initialize name so it doesn't glitch. Okay. And again, for the player, we're going to have to draw the global.username for this player. So we can just do the same thing again. We'll draw self and then just draw text. 0, right, there we go. That's all we need to do for that. And now we can slap these guys into... Whoops, no, we need to create a new room. So now we can just slap the player in here, and other players should appear when these guys join. So we're going to actually have to compile this time. The reason we have to compile this is because we need to be able to run 2 clients. So now I'm just going to get to my projects folder, which is going to be here, client, and okay, so here we are. Minimize that, and first of all we just need to launch the server, and please work. Ah, there are build errors. Oh, right. Just have to call this someone else. Let's see. I think that's what it's moaning at me for. Actually, we don't even need that. We don't even need this whole thing, as we've already converted the username up here, so we can just slap C2 into there. Aha! So, let's just launch our server, and I'm going to open up the other client. For now, God, this vast thing is annoying. So we've got this server launched, so we're just going to have this first player connect. So this new player has joined, and yeah, that's that. And the text is being drawn in 0 because I forgot to do x plus. So now we're going to call this guy if you be, and there we have it. If you just joins. So now the only other thing we need to do is make it so send this player to other players, and now send other players to this player. You need to do it both ways, because the guy who joins is sending himself to others, and that means that the server needs to tell him what players are already online. And just kind of fix a quick glitch to this text. X, Y. I think I already drew this at X, Y for this dude. Yeah. Okay, so that's all good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cycle through this exact same array again, except this time we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to be still writing byte 2. Again, we're going to write Sprite, we're gonna have to change that from A to say B, for example, because it doesn't like double declarations.